like to read books that haven't been edited. I think from the most enthusiastic and energetic new writers all the way up through people who have been writing for decades, I think everybody benefits from a little bit of editing. Now, when I read a book, I find that if the book hasn't been edited frequently, there is almost no verb tense agreement, which is kind of a problem. So I am a big fan of editing. I'm also a big fan of editors. A good editor will make sure that your vision gets through to people. I like knowing that the books that I'm reading have been run past somebody who's looked at them and who has assessed them and decided they're okay for people to read. So the thing about editing is that most people hate it. People do not want to be edited. It's offensive to them to think that any of their ideas could be changed one bit. And TV is kind of similar, but there are people out there whose job pretty much depends on you liking their shows. And I like that. That keeps everyone in line. I think that the history of TV is that there are people out there and they have to find the shows and they've got to get them on at the right time. They've basically got to curate them so that they work. And I think that's a good thing. Now, as you have probably guessed, I am an editor and a curator, and I'm kind of up here to defend my job in a way. I work for PBS, where I'm in charge of kids programming, and what we do, we are the department that finds the shows, works on the shows, reads the scripts and gives feedback to people, and basically we make sure that the shows are okay for people, then we make sure that they get on, and they get on in the right place so that kids watch them. Now, parents trust PBS, and they count on us to get it right. And there's a lot of emphasis on getting the shows right. So we work hard at doing that. But I'm starting to hear from journalists that jobs like mine aren't really needed anymore, and I'm not so sure about that. So I think that, well, I'm lucky because I do a lot of shows that are animated, and I'm a big fan of animation and a student of animation history, and I attend a lot of animation festivals. And animation sometimes, it's an interesting industry. Part of the industry really is, there are no editors or curators in there. It's just people getting their vision directly to the public. Now, the way the industry used to work, it's very elite, very, very time-consuming. If you wanted to go into animation, it could be decades before you really got to, do the big jobs. And you spent most of your life learning to draw. Maybe you never got to be the great artist you wanted to be. And it was just extremely complicated. And if you wanted to make your own film, if you wanted to get your own vision out there, you had to have a lot of money. You had to know people who were willing to work with you. You had to buy all of that, all of those supplies. You had to have a gigantic Oxbury camera or perhaps just access to one. So that's all pretty difficult. But things have completely changed these days. These days, if you have a computer and an idea and $249 in a couple of weeks, you can have your own animated film. And that's kind of great. But what about all those years that people used to spend perfecting their ability to draw? And all that practice that it took? Now, it used to take that amount of time. Why doesn't it take that amount of time anymore? Well, actually, it kind of still does. Now, I attend a lot of animation festivals, and I watch a lot of films, and I have noticed that even though the number of films has gone up astronomically, the number of great films each year is about the same. But the number of not-so-great films, that's the number that's skyrocketing. So, I watch a lot of these films, and I think, sometimes the films are just amazing, and you're thinking, wow, that person's pure vision is up there on the screen, and we're all getting to enjoy it. And then sometimes I sit and I watch a film, and it's really long, and I just start editing it in my head, and I think a lot of films out there could use a little bit of advice. And it's not that these films haven't been given feedback, it's just that maybe the filmmaker decided not to take the feedback, because they don't have to. So the thing that's interesting is that everybody just wants to get their film out to the public as quickly as possible without any editing. And now that is 100% possible. So is that good? Is the democratization, hard word, democratization of animation, has it been good for animation? Is it good for all art forms? I'm not sure. I think the tension between the editor and the creator, or the curator and the creator, is extremely important because it forces everybody to fight for what they want and to meet somewhere in the way. And I think just having that person who's saying, yes, your ideas are coming through, is very important in art. Now, the interesting thing about the animation industry is that the renegade who refuses to take feedback is considered heroic. And the person who takes feedback from the man is considered weak. So it's really hard to convince people to take feedback. And the thing about kids growing up today is that they're growing up in a universe where they can get by with no editors, nobody looking at their stuff, just putting it out there to the public. And the interesting thing is these days, on top of it all, everybody's a photographer, everybody's an artist, everybody's an author, everybody's a critic, and everybody's an expert on everything. So you know, where are the checks and balances in all of this? I haven't figured that out yet because now, you know, the state of editing is there's not much. You can get your stuff right out to the public. Nobody has to see it. And then the funny thing is maybe you get your feedback from people, but getting feedback on the internet, that is the toughest of all. Some of that stuff is scary. Now, the other interesting thing is that the whole job of curation is being handed over to computers. So the thing about that is every decision now in media could be made with analytics. And there are a lot of companies that are starting up, a lot of new media companies, and they are very proud of the fact that they don't use passion, they don't use gut instinct, they don't use any kind of experience to make their decisions. They look at analytics and they make decisions that way. And the funny thing about that is that the really great thing about TV is the risk-taking. Is the great shows in the world come out of people taking risks and trying things that haven't been done before. Analytics are safe. Analytics are comfortable. Analytics tell you that they can make more of what you already like. So analytics don't help move the medium forward. Some shows test badly, and maybe it's because the person figuring it out was just algorithms. Now, some shows test badly and never would have made it past an algorithm. They, these shows just, maybe need a little bit of time to grow. But these are the kinds of shows that change the industry. Who doesn't want shows like that? I like knowing that there's a human somewhere in there that's using a little bit of gut instinct to make a decision. Sometimes I feel like we are at this very interesting point where we're watching these battles of access versus standards, or gut instinct versus big data. So that's a very interesting time. So now that you've had a few minutes to think about it, how do you feel about those unedited books? Do you want to read unedited books? Do you want films that, that haven't been edited? I don't know. I think that editors really do supply an important service for people. And that idea that everybody has, that they should just be able to get right out there to the public with no feedback, well, I think everybody benefits from a little bit of feedback. Now, what about those kids who are growing up with no editors? Well, it was kind of funny, but as I was working on this, my daughter came into my study, and she had something, and she said, I want you to read this. And I said, oh, okay, you want me to take a look at it? And she goes, well, actually, I kind of want you to edit it. And I thought, okay, we're safe. Thank you.